It is time for another buff breakdown. Okay, it's been a while since one of these has happened. They kind of slowed down with buffs, and this kind of came out of nowhere as well. But yeah, we got a buff for Musashi Saber, the OG, the second buff ever. They buffed her MP quite a long time ago, and now they're buffing the first unique skill. Now, you might have already seen me post a video where I did like a demonstration, and I'll refer to that as well once I get going here. But yeah, now I'm gonna do the actual breakdown where I, talk about the buff and, tell you how I feel and how much impact it can possibly have, etc. So yeah, just one buff today. We got Musashi Saber buff to the first skill, so let's just get on to it, shall we? Fifth form, right? Her unique skill, which doubles the command card hit count and also increases command card damage. Very unique in both ways. But sadly, before this buff, on a 6-turn cooldown, like it was very Poggin when this was up, right? Very cool. You feel like you're on top of the world. But, most of the time it won't be up because it's a 1-turn effect each on a 6-turn cooldown. So then you kind of... That's why, that was one of Musashi's biggest weaknesses. Because of her downtime being quite horrendous. Doesn't help that she also has a full gorilla deck. Usually decks like this don't really do that well when you have downtime. But now, they did a buff that basically addresses that's biggest problem. So, they increase both the duration of double hits and the command card damage through 3 turns instead of 1 turn. Now that alone, good. But it doesn't end there. They added a new effect as well, a 3-turn effect at that, a up to 1k damage cut. Which is cool. It's a nice thing to have. Definitely helps when you're, taking face card damage yourself. And yeah, more importantly, these are 3-turn effects, not like 3 times 3 turns. And if anything, this makes me feel even worse for Sigurd. I say that already here, because, his buff was... yikes. But yes, excuse me for my throat. This is a cool buff. It really is. If you saw that video, first of all, where will this be the most impactful? Solos. Yeah. Especially the damage cut. It's not really going to be a huge thing in teams, but it's nice to have. But honestly, this is the best for solos. Because now, with this skill active, she can kind of just back-to-back-to-back MP with ease. Ease, I tell you. Again, if you don't believe me, watch the video I posted. So, this is a really amazing buff for her solo potential. Now, for teams, it's good, obviously. It's way less downtime. But the problem still remains that for teams, her deck is still this, right? So unless someone dies, or you have like a shuffle or a summer BB to lock your cards, you really still only have 2 cards that will do any kind of like MP generation, MP gains, right? Can't really get it from this. Even if you have an arts lead and you have a double hit buster, it's only 4 hits. Won't really generate much, right? So for teams, it's not that big of a deal. It is nice though, don't get me wrong. Still helps there as well, obviously. But I feel like the true potential of this buff lies in the solo. Now, another note that some people were not exactly sure as to how it works, because now it's a 3-turn effect, so you could potentially get it back if you have cooldown reduction, like Koyan Light and or the Atlas Mystic Code. Now, here's the thing. If you do that, you will not get like quad hits. That will be the craziest and coolest thing ever. No, you're still going to have double hits. They allow you to stack the buff. Like, you still have 2 of these icons, but it doesn't, increase the hit count. It's still going to be double. But here's the thing. It will double the damage bonus for the face cards and the damage cut. So there is some value to be gained from that. Because this is still basically 30% more damage for all your face cards, including the extra attack on Brave Chains. So that's still something to think about, even if, you don't get like quad hits. I think it's a great buff. It definitely addresses some of her downtime. I like it. But again, for teams, maybe not super significant, but I really like the solo potential. If you're someone that's like a huge Musashi simp, and you have like a really impressive copy, you could do a lot of cool solos with this, I feel like. Yeah. Now, on my tier list, dude, my voice is dying. I'm doing this so late into my stream, I apologize. On my Saber tier list this year, which was a long time ago, almost a year ago, I had her placed her in A+. Honestly, I think I'm gonna keep her there. Because if anything, she probably should have been here, I feel like. Maybe this was a bit generous. But I think I'm still gonna keep her here. I think some people are already, like, hyping this buff. Yeah, it's cool, it's great. But I don't think it's gonna make her, like, broken or anything, honestly. Especially in teams. I still think she's great, and the solos are gonna be nutty, but she still will have limits on solos, mostly based on survival, if anything. I think she's great, and I think this buff makes a lot of sense. It's cool. Definitely came out of nowhere, though. But hey, I like it. Not sure if there was anything else I wanted to say. It's a pretty standard thing, even if it's a very unique effect. But it's a cool buff. Now, here's the thing to end on, I suppose. This was released when she got her rate up today, right? And that rate up belongs to a, you know, a rotation of 4, basically, right? And this was the third one. So we can probably safely assume the first 2 not getting buffs, which were Moriarty and Scheherazade. But, starting from tomorrow, there is still a 4th rate up, and it's Abigail, the OG. So, we could still see a buff for Abigail as well. And she could use one as well. She could still use one, especially her cooldowns. They're atrocious. So I would hope, because this was basically a buff for Musashi that improves her uptime, right? I think Abby could use the same thing. So, you know, if you're an Abby fan, maybe stay tuned for tomorrow. You never know. But this just could be the only buff. You never know. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I very much like this buff. I think is great. Again, check the video if you want to see the solo potential. Is kind of crazy. Is really good. So yeah, thumbs up for this buff. It's been a while since they showed some love to Musashi, I guess. So with that, I'm gonna conclude this buff breakdown. If you enjoyed it, do me a solid and press the thumbs up button. Subscribe for more not to miss out on future ones. Again, maybe even tomorrow, you never know. And also, I'm doing more gacha rolls on Monday for those interested. Ibuki is coming out on NA, so stay tuned. Lots of fun stuff on the way. And with that, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And a peace out.